Well, jeepers! You're listening to Smash or Pass.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another interview on the JayBee and Milly channel. I am JayBee and joining me as always is Rhianna.
Hi.
And our special guest today is Adele K Thomas. I guess if you'd like to introduce yourself and I guess what you did in that movie and what you're doing now.
Okay, so it was such a long time ago. I had a like a small I had like a small cast role, but it was just like a couple of lines, and it was at the beginning of the film at the airport where I am here, in the Brisbane airport, and my scene with two other girls was pretty much just before Fred bumps into Velma at the airport, and he's lined up at the check-in desk, and me and two other girls we get all excited and we're like, oh my god, he's so cute. I haven't done an American accent for a long time, so but he hears that and thinks we're talking about him, and we all rush in his direction, but we all kind of go down to a little child in a stroller pram. And he kind of gets flustered because he realizes that we're not talking about him. So that was the scene in the film, which everyone will know who's watched it is not in it because it was one of the many small scenes that were cut. So that was from my part in the movie. But what I do now is I'm not an actress. I work in the field of 2D animation. And so I have many roles in animation, but at the moment I'm working on a Disney TV show.
Wow, that's amazing. It's so incredible to hear that because like that's not even in the DVD like bonus features or anything. So that was like unearthed after 20 years. But I guess how did the role come about and what was the process? Was it like an audition or anything? Were there like lines that you had to be tested for?
What it was I'd been involved in acting for maybe just a couple of years, and I was about 20, and so we had back then we had quite a few productions going at the Village Roadshow Studios, and I was doing a lot of extra work and featured extra work, and I wanted to push into going for commercials. Sorry, not commercials, speaking roles, so feature film and stuff like that, or TV, anything really. And I kind of had to convince my agent that they weren't going to be embarrassed to send me and that I could do an American accent. So I had to do it over the phone to them on the spot. And I'd actually been practicing a lot at the time. And they were like, oh, okay, we'll send you to the audition. So I went to the audition at Village Roadshow Studios, and there was just like heaps, or what you call a cattle call. There's just heaps and heaps of girls my age, and we were getting sent in groups of 3, and basically it was the scene that we were going to shoot, so we had to basically do improv on the spot, like we'd known each other, and just go into the scene. And I don't know, I've always assumed that I stood out because one of the girls in the scene was just standing in because we were missing a girl, and the other girl forgot to do American accent and forgot her lines. So I don't know, I was like, is that why I stood out? I always kind of downplay my achievements, but yeah, that was the process of auditioning. And then when I got told I got it by my agent, they sounded very shocked. And I jumped up. I was so excited, I jumped up and then I hit my head on a light fixture. So that was a very memorable moment, but I was very, very excited because I knew who the cast was gonna be, and at the time I was a very, very big Freddie Prinze Jr. fan and Matthew Lillard fan and Buffy fan, so, and also Linda Cardellini because I loved Freaks and Geeks, so it was like perfect for me. I was like so thrilled. Yeah.
Oh wow, that sounds incredible. And you know, you mentioned that you were like 20 when it happened, and I'm 20, and it's like this year the Scooby Doo movie happens, and it's just amazing.
Yeah. It was very, very exciting. We were getting this big film that was coming to film here. Yeah.
Oh wow. And prior to this, had you watched any Scooby Doo, and if so, did you have a favorite member of the gang?
Well, I'd watch basically, I've always said all I did as a kid was watch animated TV, like 2 hours before school and then like hours and hours after school. And one of those were like from young was the Hanna-Barbera cartoons. So I did watch Scooby Doo, and it's kind of ingrained in your head for me, working in animation, because they used a lot of reuse in their running scenes. So it's quite a classic one for anyone that's interested in animation, the tricks that they used at the time. I didn't have a favorite character, but I did have a character that I didn't like, and that was Scrappy Doo. I never liked Scrappy Doo. And so when he was the villain in the films, I was like, yeah, like he was villainous. I was like, yeah. But yeah, when I went to university, actually, one of my lecturers used to work for Hanna-Barbera, so that was pretty cool too.
Ooh, that is amazing, and I like completely understand about the whole Scrappy thing. Even to this day, there's people that are just like, "Oh, I'm so glad that like Scrappy's not in it anymore." Although I guess as of recent, there has been some Scrappy supporters out there, so who knows whether he's going to make a return or not. But I know that on Twitter, I think it was Twitter anyway, you said that you still have your call sheet from the movie. What did that entail?
Oh, so okay. So I used to keep a journal. Here's my journal I dug. I recently returned. It's got like my, hang on, it's just kind of this is like one of my cards for when I was with an agent, because you have like a photo cards and stuff. But yeah, I used to keep a journal of every single audition and a job that I went to. And so yeah, I actually like kept everything. And one of the things that I kept was my call sheet. And so yeah, so this is my call sheet. I might actually have to just I'll take off my virtual background. I'll just blur my background. And is it gonna work? Oh no, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Anyway, so that's a call sheet. I'll unblur my background, that will be better. So that's my call sheet.
Oh wow.
So Scooby Doo, and it was for Wednesday, the 28th of February 2001. And yeah, I'm on here as we go in. It's where is it? So professional. Adele Thomas, and I am young woman number 3. So that was, it's flipped backwards, but yeah, that's me on the call sheet. And yeah, so that was my my day that I had. And basically call sheets tell you when to turn up, how long you're going to be working for. It has all types of stuff on there, like what the weather is predicted to be like, who's starting when. And so yeah, all the main cast is listed on here. And yeah, it's a really cool thing that I managed to hang on to, and I'm really glad I did. So
no, that's amazing. I can't believe that. It's so great to like just to know that you've kept that after all these years, because I know personally that like if I was on that set in any part of it, like if I was on the island or something, I'd be like collecting jars of the sand of the island every day. Like, okay, this is from day 1 of filming, that's from day 2 of filming. So it's amazing to see that like yeah, after all this time. And I guess like from your time filming, do you have like a favorite memory that stands out to you?
Or I have a favorite one from filming, and so when you're on set, you have like quite a lot of in general, it was an exciting day. And actually my mom and dad drove up with me, and they sat in like the waiting lounge, and they were on the other side of the airport, and they were watching the whole thing. So that was great. But I think like you have a lot of ADs, like assistant directors and stuff, when you're working on a film, and they all have their own like responsibilities and stuff. And you know, it's very kind of behind the cameras. It's really crowded. There's a lot of people. We all clump together, and you get given specific direction where we have to run, and in a very tight space, and where we have to exit. And you've got all these cables and everything from the cameras, and you've got just all the crew with their bits and pieces. And so we ran through, and someone was in our way to exit, and we exited the shop, but we had to go a different way than. And then all of a sudden this AD from nowhere came out and started to give us a bit of a hard time about where we'd gone to, and then we'd gotten in the way. And Freddie Prinze Jr. came up and was like, hey, they had someone in their way, go easy on them. I can't remember him specifically, but he was basically like, you know, give him a break. And then he just continued on, and he hadn't spoken to us at all, and he was like in his zone, you know, in for the scene, in character. But yeah, Freddie, Fred Freddie Prinze Jr., if you see this, I still remember, and thank you very much. It was a great thing to have our back. But yeah, us 20-year-olds, the three of us, we just all suddenly turned into actual like giggling fangirls, and just like, oh, he stood up for us. And then we went back to being professional. So that was a great on-set memory. Yeah. And another one was seeing Matthew Lillard on set doing his thing. He was just so great in character. And yeah, a couple of other good memories I have actually offset. We actually usually when you're extras or featured extras and stuff like that, you have your makeup done like under tents and stuff like you don't get sent that much into the vans, the makeup vans and costume vans and stuff like that. And I did get sent into one, and I got sat down, and I wasn't really paying attention because my head was in the clouds, and I was just so thrilled to be there. And I sat down. I'm not joking, like there was a guy next to me with a newspaper, and I hadn't clocked him yet, but I looked down the far end of the makeup van, and Linda Cardellini was down there in her Velma costume, and I'm like, oh, it's her. And then like I turned around, and the paper comes down, and it's like Matthew Lillard is in the seat right next to me, and I'm looking in the mirror at him, and he introduced himself, and I said, oh, hi, and it was just so friendly. It was great. He was just so nice. And you know, I was a massive fan of like Scream and Hackers at the time. So I was just like, oh my gosh. And then the doors open behind me, and Freddie Prinze Jr., I see him in the mirror, so it's like I'm not looking, and he comes in behind with a couple of juices, says hello to the makeup crew, and says hello to me, and I was just in my element. That was great. And then like, so that was that one. And then another one was when I went to lunch. It was great because it was the first time ever I didn't have to, and I'm sorry, extras, I've been an extra for many years, but I didn't have to line up the rest of the extras. I got to line up with the crew, so I got to eat first. But the main cast went and ate in their their vans, which they usually do. But I had this uncanny kind of moment because I went and sat with their stand-ins, and so I'm like sitting with the stand-ins who like look like them but don't, and they're all in costume. So that was very funny. So they were my 3 big memories of the day. Yeah.
Wow, that is fantastic. It sounds like, I mean, I don't know how long you would have been filming for. I know that some parts of the airport had to be redone quite a lot because it was actually like they didn't shut down the airport. They were like genuine, like they'd be halfway through a scene and it'd be flight 515 leaving from Brisbane to Hong Kong, and like so it'd have to be redone. But do you remember how long you were filming for? Because I know you said on the call sheet it was February and the movie came out of June the following year. So I guess it was quite a gap between like filming and release.
Oh yeah, it was quite a gap. So so I started the day at my call time, which is my start time, was 6:30 in the morning, and then it was just as required. And I remember it went through till like maybe the late afternoon. So it wasn't a long day, but a lot happened in it. So and then we kind of stuck around for doing some kind of joining in with the background extras, walking I think it was in like the area behind Velma when Fred bumps into her when they meet each other. Yeah. But I don't see myself at all. You don't see myself, but I was there. Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's good. Like, what's good is you have the call sheet, so if anyone questions, you can just pull out and be like, see, I was there. Like, this is exactly how I was there.
I'm still in touch. I was in touch with one of the other girls in my scene, so we both have that shared memory.
That's lovely. And I guess you mentioned how you met quite a few of the actors on set, and was there anyone in the movie that you wish you could have met but didn't? For instance, we know that you're originally from England, so were you aware at that time that Rowan Atkinson was in the project?
Yeah, I was. And actually my dad was like, will he be here today? I'm like, no, Dad. And I actually was I was quite envious of the people that got to go. I can't remember if it was like Fraser Island. They actually, to shoot all the island stuff, the main part of the movie, they all got to kind of go up north, and I was like, lucky, because they all just like, it was shooting for ages, and Rowan was up there, so it's a little bit further north of Brisbane, I think. But yeah, there was a lot more being filmed after I shot my thing. But yeah, it would have been great. But he wouldn't have been like he's more of a serious person in real life. It's not like I'm meeting Blackadder or anything.
I guess going on a little bit to your career now as an artist and production designer, did you ever speak with any of the animators or the production designer on the set of Scooby Doo?
I actually did know a guy who he started his early career at a company that would set up at the Village Roadshow Studios, and I was a friend with him, and he was doing visual effects on Scooby Doo. So I was kind of in touch with him quite often, and they did say to me that they had seen my scene. So and I was looking in my journal, because I couldn't remember this, but I was looking in my journal and I was like reading my entries, because I would update it every time I heard some Scooby Doo news. I would like write it down, and like I've got in there that such and such said that I'm still in the film. and then it was right up until we went to the local cast and crew screening, and we went along to that, and everyone that had a bit part or something was there, and I was sitting in between my mum and my high school friend, who actually was working in wardrobe on this film. So we've always had that great memory where we both worked on this film together, and it was only a few years after we'd left high school. So I got to see her on set, but we were sitting watching the film, and she's like, both of them are like, is it coming up? Is it coming up? And then it like came and went. I'm like, that was it, it's gone. So I had my friend who'd also worked on the film who was understanding, but like my mum was like, maybe they'll put it in later on in the film. I'm like, Mum, you know that's not how filmmaking works.
Oh, that is such a shame, and like it's just I think that film, more than most that you hear about, just got so much cut out of it, because initially they were like going for a bit of an edgier tone, and then it went to a press screening, and I don't know what it was, if it was like an extreme religious thing, or if people were just being sensitive towards kids, but like a load of it was just chopped up. So I don't know if it was like a casualty of that along with timing. Like it's difficult to say, but definitely just it's amazing that you've got that memory. And of course, like the photo of the airport is absolutely amazing. And I think in regards to your almost return to the world of Hanna-Barbera, like, and more recently you worked on the Jellystone series. What was this like?
Well, it was pretty cool because getting to work on Jellystone, so I was working on it for a few episodes, and I was painting backgrounds for the 2D series, and it was really cool to get to work on something with those characters coming back, because it was just multiple things that it was a show from my childhood. It's had many being reinvented a lot. So, I got to get on this version. And like I said earlier, my lecturer, when I was studying animation, he'd also worked on Hanna-Barbera, and then I'd had the experience with Scooby Doo, the films. So, yeah, it's kind of had a lot of cool things. So I was like, yes, full circle. Tick. Worked on Hanna-Barbera.
That's so true. It's just amazing. And what made you want to go into animation?
I was better at drawing than acting. So all I really have ever done mostly is drawing. And people that I went to school with, who I'm still in touch with today, they're like not surprised that I still I went into animation and children's books. Yeah, so and I'm serious, I am not that great an actor. I'm terrible at remembering my lines, which is why I prefer improv. And I'm a much better artist. So I think it was like 2003, I decided that I would try and go study animation. And I also really like being behind the camera, which is why I kept doing like production work, like live action stuff. I kept doing extra work, and I kept doing crew work. So yeah, I like being the process. I like the process and that, rather than the audition process and turning up really early and trying the stress of trying to learn lines and stuff. Yeah, so yeah, and I do all types of areas of animation over my career, and from right through the production through to directing, and currently I'm also doing executive producing on a short web series. So yeah, lots of stuff.
Oh, that's so exciting. And you mentioned how you watched a lot of animated cartoons and things like that growing up. So was there an animator or a particular show that you watched that you feel influenced your career?
It's funny because it's kind of like there was a big switch. So when I grew up in England as a child, the animation was quite different to when I moved to Australia and then was watching a lot of, I guess there was Disney shows and more American shows, and I wasn't seeing as much as the English shows. So when I was in England, or when I could still watch English shows, I was watching a lot of stop motion, you know, because we've got a lot of stop motion in the English history of animation before they flipped some of them to start flipping them to CGI. But I think like the major one was probably Ren and Stimpy, because I really love slapstick and I really like wacky comedy. So that was one that I think one of the animated shows that I was heavily influenced, and then it kind of slipped into early seasons of SpongeBob. So that's what I was watching in my early teens. I watched those pretty heavily. Yeah, those were ones that first come to mind. I watched a lot of stuff like She-Ra, Real Ghostbusters, Postman Pat. I just consumed so much TV. I had a TV in my room from a very early age. So thank you, Mum, because it's not that she definitely wasn't neglecting me. She just always says, I know what you were into and I let you go that way. So yeah, I was very lucky to have some parents that recognized what I was interested in. Yeah. Terrible at maths. Rubbish. I'm terrible.
Wow, that's amazing. And you know, talking a bit more about your art, you have such like a wonderful and distinct style, and it was showcased in your pilot film, which I apologize if I say the name wrong, Rousey.
Oh, nice. Yes, well done.
And we absolutely loved it. So what was your inspiration behind this?
So I made that, it's such a long process. I made that finished making it in 2012 and kind of started the process around 2010, getting funding and things like that. But I actually developed it way back in 2006 in my honours year at university. So I developed the idea, and it was part of my honours year project. So I was like, I don't want to make another film. I made a film in my grad year. I'm not interested in animation, the practice of animation, because that wasn't my strong area, even though I did it. But my strengths were in colour and development and production design. So I made up a show, and I made a fake art of book, and as if it was a show or a film or something that I was pitching for. And it was a lot darker in tone. It was more of if it was going to be like more of an adult animated series or film. And then as I kind of I kept revisiting it, and it went more into children's TV kind of influence. I aged it down, and it went from my kind of interest, which was another interest of mine, which is like Aeon Flux, which was another show that kind of heavily influenced my animation interest. But then I went more into my wacky slapstick interest, which is where it ended up going. So, which you can definitely see as you've watched it, is it's very wacky and expressive and snappy, which is the style of animation that I really like. Yeah.
Oh, what I love is that you've managed to go into doing things that you love, and everything is so clear, because you can tell those who just went into it because not necessarily they wanted to, but were either forced into it or they were going into it for the wrong reasons. But with someone like you, when you really love it, you can tell it in their projects, because it really does show. And you also illustrate books such as the Berkeley Mansion series, which can focus on character design as opposed to working on more backgrounds. So how would you compare your approach to working on background animation in comparison to character design?
So I really like the doing like stuff for Berkeley Mansion because I get to do the very expressive characters, and I do background design in my day job, or not. I do coloring for background as my day job, so it's really a nice break to go do the expressive characters, and not have to animate them. So they're expressive. And I was talking to my mum was saying the other day, she was saying that when she looks at it, it looks like it should be moving, and that's a comment that I do get, that it looks like it's like taken out of a scene, and that's because I like to approach what I'm drawing with the characters as if it's actually it's been like a still shot of a scene. So that's what I like about doing those books, or doing the children's junior novels, because there's a lot more illustrations in those books. It's a lot different to picture book work. A lot of picture book work tends to be a lot more softer, whimsical, but not as kind of like wacky.
Wow, that is incredible, because you do genuinely have like such a distinct style that I would love to see more of it. I'm kind of like, it's just imagining how things could almost again like cross over in terms of like, I don't know, fate, destiny, or even just coincidence. Like in terms of the world of Scooby, I think we're at a time now where it's busier than ever. There's just been 2 new shows that have been announced. There's a movie coming out supposedly in December. So if you were to ever dive back into the realm of Scooby again, would you prefer it to be more of like an illustrated book about Scooby Doo, or would you like to work on one of the shows?
Nah, get me on a show. It was a shame, like the run that I had working on Jellystone was as short as it was, and I actually was working on some of my friends were also working on it with me, and we really loved working on that, and then getting to actually see the finished product and seeing that it was quite out there and very silly was great. So it was really awesome to be a part of that, have my name in those credits on IMDb or wherever they end up being.
Wow. And I guess this will be my final question before JayBee asks his too, and then we wrap up. And I guess this may be the most important question, but have you ever tried to draw the Scooby Gang in your own art style?
Oh, not in near memory, no. I haven't. I actually haven't. I used to do fan art, but I think like the last fan art I did was of like Skeletor. But no, I haven't done them in my own style. That's interesting. It's one I'll have to do sometime.
Yeah, it would definitely be very, very cool to see. Just that would be amazing. And I guess you've touched upon like what you're working on currently and recently, but is there anything like in particular that you'd like to highlight that we can look out for?
I can't really say anything about the project that I'm currently working on. But of my own stuff, I do have a picture book that I've just finished working on. It's coming out on the end of the year through Penguin, but it's probably, I don't know if it's going to be published in England. It is going to be in Australia, but that I've only just finished, so I can't mention that either. But otherwise, I always have Pearl the Unicorn books that are coming out. There's one of those that's coming out in September. It's like the 10th book. I'm currently working on the 11th, and I have to work on the 12th this year. And the third Barclay Mansion book will be, third and final one will be coming out sometime this year. But otherwise, you can just find me on Instagram, like Adele K Thomas. I haven't been posting much lately because I'm just so busy, which is good. Which is a good thing.
That is amazing. And I mean, any links that there is to anything that you've got going on in terms of websites, Instagram will be included in the description down below, so people can be sure to check that out. And I guess almost, you know, to wrap things up now, just like a huge thank you for coming on here today, for not only talking about the work that you're doing now, which we can't wait to keep up with. I know that even though you can't really find many like kind of Australian-based things in, you know, high street shops like Waterstones, Amazon always has everything. So definitely, if we find any of the Amazon links, like we can include that as well. So just thank you for coming on here today and talking about Scooby as well, because it's just so incredible that for all the scene was cut, that you were a part of the movie, and now celebrating its 20th anniversary. It's just so good to kind of celebrate the film.
I know, I can't believe how fast the years have gone by. And I actually just wanted to show you one thing before we went. So there were some things that there were at the end of the filming. Some of the crew were taking like souvenirs and stuff like that. And I actually was given from a friend that worked on the crew. I actually got this pretty cool tiki candle stand, and that came off set. That was from one of the islands, so it's like this tall candle, and I completely forgot that I had it, and I saw it when you guys got in contact with me. I was telling my mum, because I'm at my mum's house at the moment, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, that's from Scooby Doo. And she's like, I bet you're glad I kept that. And there is also some sort of candle somewhere. It's like got wax kind of bamboo, and that was also from one of the sets as well. So I have that, and I just know it as it's from the Scooby Doo set from the island. So I might not have gone there, but I got a piece of it.
Wow, that is actually amazing. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
That's fantastic. Wow.
No problem.
Yes, in addition to that, you know, thank you everyone for watching this today. It's incredible that there's been quite a lot of consistent viewership now, that are really enjoying this series. It is amazing to see. So if you do want to see more of this, along with all of Rhianna's stuff, you can find her links in the description down below too. Then please like, comment and subscribe to JayBee Milly, and we'll see you next time.